Okay, everybody, this is going to be the APE1 Unit 3 video lecture, and this is week 5, and it's for the Chuseok holiday class. Okay, so we're going to just use a PPT of the textbook, and what you guys should do is you should have your textbook in front of you and try to use this video in an interactive way. So when there is some activity to do or some writing to do, what you can do is pause the video and then try to complete the exercises in the book, and then start the video again, and you can check the answers as I give them to you. Okay, so transport, unit 3. And we're going to start with the very first page of the unit, which is this page here, as you can see on the screen. And this is page 61 in your book. And this is what we were doing, or this is what we would do in the class. So I want to try to keep this video similar to the way that we would do it in the class. So we're going to start by looking at the table there, and you can see that there are 5 types of transport, and then it says advantage and disadvantage. Okay, so you've got to think about an advantage of a car, an advantage of riding the train, an advantage of the bus, an advantage of the bicycle, and an advantage of a boat. And then likewise, disadvantage. Okay, and then we would brainstorm this together in the classroom. So have a think about that. What are some advantages and what are some disadvantages? And on the next slide, I will share with you some of the common answers that we heard in the classes. Okay, so advantages and disadvantages of different types of transport. Let's go to the next page. Okay, so we're going to go through each one, starting with the car. So what are the advantages of a car? Well, as you can see, the freedom to go wherever we want to. We can go wherever we want to and whenever we want to. And also, simply, driving can be enjoyable. So those would be 2 advantages of a car. Disadvantages, well, can be expensive to buy and maintain. A car pollutes the environment. And of course, we have to endure traffic jams. So those are some advantages and some disadvantages of a car. Next, train. Okay, the advantage of a train, the travel time is more reliable, so we can plan our trip better. However, during busy times like Chuseok, the tickets sell out quickly. Now, there are many advantages and many disadvantages, but we're just sharing 1 or 2 examples. Okay, let's move on to the bus. An advantage of the bus is it is relatively cheap and the system in Seoul is well developed. When you use the word relatively, it means in relation to. So when you are comparing to another type of transport. The disadvantage of the bus, the stations are fixed, so you might have to walk some of the way. And again, in Seoul, sometimes you have to walk uphill, which can be tiring. The advantage of the bicycle, well, it is good for our health. It strengthens our leg muscles. The disadvantage of a bicycle, it is relatively slow, and of course, it can be tiring and dangerous, especially in the city. All right, and then the boat, which is a slightly unusual or uncommon form of transport. The advantage is the obvious one. A boat allows us to travel across water. Disadvantages, there is a small risk of the boat sinking. We could experience seasickness. Seasickness is a form of motion sickness. Okay, so motion sickness is the wider way to describe it. And then you have seasickness if you're on a boat, car sickness if you're in a car, things like this. Okay, so what we're ready to do now then is to go to the reading, the first reading that we're going to do. So the next slide. Well, first, actually, let's consider a few other types of transport. Right, what are these called in English? Electric kickboards, or you might hear it called an electric scooter, but no, electric kickboard is better. Electric kickboard. So what's the advantage of an electric kickboard? Well, they are quicker to travel short distances, and they're quite cheap to use. But the disadvantage, the big disadvantage, they're very dangerous. This is a scooter, an auto bike or a scooter. The advantage of a scooter, again, they are relatively fast to travel short distances, and they're quite convenient when there are some busy streets. Disadvantage would be, again, they are dangerous and they're quite noisy. And then the airplane, the advantage of an airplane, we can travel long distances, but the disadvantage is the ticket is very expensive. Okay, right now we're ready to go to the reading, and we're going to read reading 2. So this article is on page 66 and 67. Okay, so this is definitely a part where you can use this video in an interactive way. Okay, so you can look at the vocabulary, which is on page 66, and look at the words. This is what we usually do in the class time. So we have cycle as a verb, to travel by bicycle. Emergency, an unexpected situation which requires immediate action. Engineering, the activity of designing and building things like bridges, roads, machines. Fuel, a substance like gas or coal which produces energy when it is burned. Government, the group of people that controls a country or a city and makes decisions about laws, taxes, education, etc. Practical, adjective, this is a good word. Practical means something which is useful or suitable for the situation it is being used for. Practical. It's also quite common to use this word in a negative way. That is, you say something is not practical. So if something is practical, it is suitable for the situation, or something is not practical, it is not suitable for the situation. And then the last word is vehicle, pronunciation, vehicle. You don't have to worry about the H. It's a silent H, vehicle. All right, so I would recommend pausing this video, taking your pen or your pencil, take your book, and just try to fill in the blanks. And then when you're ready, start the video again, and you can listen to the answers that I will give you in a couple of moments. Okay, right. So I'm just going to go through the answers and you can check them to see if you got them correct. Number one, I don't own a car, but I have a bicycle. I usually cycle to work if the weather is nice. Number two, if I want to use public transport, I need to take 3 buses to get to school. This isn't practical. So I usually drive my car. Okay, so that's the use of the word practical. Yeah, 3 buses, it's not very suitable, so it's not practical. Number 3, a Boeing 747 jet burns about 11 tons of fuel an hour in flight. That's equal to about 3.8 liters each second. Number 4, the government wants people to drive less. So it passed a law which requires drivers to pay a high tax on petrol. Number 5, the 166-kilometer Danyang to Kunshan Grand Bridge in China is an incredible work of engineering. In Masdar, drivers must park their vehicles, with an S, vehicles, outside the city and use public transport to reach the city centre. And number 7, in my apartment, I have a first aid kit, a fire extinguisher, and a torch in case of an emergency. A torch is a flashlight. It's something that you can use to get light. Okay, so let's now have a look at the article, okay, which is on the next page, page 67. So I'm going to read this, obviously, and what you can do is you can just read along. At the top, we have some pictures. The first photo is a boat, but it's a special type of boat. It is called a ferry boat. A ferry, F-E-R-R-Y, a ferry boat. That's the kind of boat that transports people, a ferry. The second photo, public bicycles that you can rent. And then the third picture looks like a subway. Okay, so let's read the article. We have 7 paragraphs. Okay, here we go then. Let's start with paragraph 1. Traffic congestion is a serious problem in cities worldwide. Okay, so congestion is another name for traffic jam. Traffic congestion is the same meaning as traffic jam. Congestion means blocked. Something is blocked. Okay, so traffic congestion is a serious problem in cities worldwide. For example, Seoul. There are simply too many vehicles competing for too little space. The company TomTom, which does research on traffic in cities worldwide, estimated that in 2015, the average commuter wasted 100 hours during the evening rush hour alone. Rush hour. Okay, we're going to come back to this later. Rush hour, that's the time when there are the most amount of people traveling, using transport. Morning rush hour, everybody's going to work, or students going to university. But everybody's moving to their workplace or their school. That's the morning rush hour. And then we have the evening rush hour, and that is when everybody is going home. In addition to wasting people's time, traffic jams have many other negative effects. Therefore, governments everywhere are working hard to find solutions to this problem. Okay, so what is the topic? First sentence, traffic congestion is a serious problem. So that's the topic. The preview, what is going to come in the following paragraphs? Well, it tells us that it's going to talk about the negative effects and solutions to the problem. Right, so paragraph 2, the negative effects of traffic congestion. Here we go. Traffic jams have negative effects on drivers, cities, and the environment. To begin with, they cause stress to drivers, which may lead to health problems or road rage. If you look at the bottom of your page, it tells you the meaning of road rage. Violence committed by angry drivers in traffic. Yeah, rage means anger. Road rage, people who get angry when they are driving. Maybe they swear, they say some bad words, or in the very extreme situation, they might fight violence. Okay. Traffic jams can also lead to economic losses, money, because products cannot be delivered on time. And employees arrive late for work or meetings. Another negative effect is that emergency services can become caught in traffic and are therefore unable to get to an emergency in time. Finally, traffic congestion negatively affects the environment. Traffic congestion wastes fuel, which in turn produces more carbon dioxide through car exhaust and contributes to the greenhouse effect. Right, this is connected to Unit 2, the environment. Taken together, all these effects have a serious negative impact on the quality of people's lives. So that's about the negative effects of traffic jams. Now, the next paragraphs are going to give us some solutions to the problem. Here we go, paragraph 3. Because of these serious effects, it is important for cities and governments everywhere to take steps to reduce road congestion. The most obvious solutions involve engineering. This means building more roads with wider lanes so that more cars can travel at the same time, as well as constructing tunnels and bridges to guide drivers around congested areas. However, the costs for engineering solutions are extremely high. Another problem is that more roads may actually result in more traffic. In short, engineering solutions have both advantages and disadvantages. Right, okay, so here we go. This is kind of one of the themes of this unit, considering the advantages and the disadvantages. Or sometimes we call that the pros and cons. The pros are the advantages, the cons are the disadvantages. Okay, so we have a problem. So now we need to think of a solution to the problem. But when we think of the solution, we also have to consider the advantages and the disadvantages. And that's how we can choose the best solution. So the first solution is engineering. And there are pros and cons of engineering. The next solution, paragraph 3, other more creative solutions to the congestion problem are to increase the tax on fuel or to make people pay to travel in the center of a city or on a motorway. If governments increase the cost of driving, people will think more carefully about using their cars. However, taxing fuel and roads may mean that some people cannot afford to drive their cars, and they may have to give up their jobs. Also, governments may not want to increase the fuel tax too much if the tax is unpopular with voters. Right, so this is all about making it expensive to drive a car. Why? Well, to stop people driving cars, to try to make them use public transport. So that's going to be good for the environment, but the disadvantage is some people need their cars to get to their job. So if you disappoint people, well, they might not vote for you in the election, the government. All right, paragraph 5. A more popular solution, therefore, would be to promote other forms of transport, like ferries, cycling, and underground trains. One suggestion is to encourage people to cycle more. Although cycling has obvious health benefits and does not pollute the air, it is not practical in every climate and can prove dangerous in heavy traffic. It is not practical in every climate. Climate means weather. So yeah, riding a bicycle is not practical. It is not suitable in the summer or in the winter. It's too hot or it's too cold. Paragraph 6. Another possibility is to persuade people to use buses, although they are inconvenient for some people. A related option is a park and ride system, which allows people to drive to the outskirts of cities. Outskirt means outside of the city center. Outskirts of cities, park, and then take a bus to the city center. This allows some flexibility for car drivers and reduces congestion in the center of the city. A disadvantage for people who work late shifts is that many buses do not run at night. Okay, paragraph 7 is the conclusion. Overall, cities are using a variety of methods to tackle the problem of traffic congestion. Most of the methods have advantages as well as disadvantages. We should encourage alternative forms of transport because they reduce the amount of traffic on the roads and also have a positive effect on the environment. Alrighty, so that is the article. And if there are any words or phrases that you don't know, you should obviously translate them. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go to the next page and we're going to answer the questions. Okay, so again, this is the part where you can pause the video, try to answer the questions, part 3, part 4, and part 5. Okay, and then when you are ready, start the video and check the answers. This is how you can study the most efficiently and effectively with this video. Okay, so here we go, the answers. So part 3, read the essay and circle the best title. So you've got 4 options, A, B, C, and D. What is the best one? The answer is B. Solving the problems of traffic congestion. That is the best title. Question 4. What are the 4 negative effects of traffic congestion mentioned in the essay? So this is going to be paragraph 2. And here are the answers. Causes stress to drivers, economic losses, emergency services get caught, and it negatively affects the environment. Okay, part 5, you got to fill in the table with the missing words. So here's the first one. Build more roads, tunnels, and bridges. Number 2, more vehicles can travel at once. Number 3, this may result in more traffic. Number 4, increase tax on roads and motorways. Or you could use fuel, actually. Both of those answers would work. Number 5, some people may need to give up their jobs. Number 6, it has benefits for your health and reduces pollution. Number 7, it can be dangerous when traffic is heavy. Number 8, people park and then travel into the city center by bus. And number 9, it reduces congestion in the city center. And the last one, buses may not operate at night. Right, now, you should also look at page 69, everybody. I did not include this in the PowerPoint, but page 69, which is the next page, and look at the part where it says language development, transport collocations. Right, so do you remember the meaning of collocation? Unit 2, we talked about this. Environmental collocations. You take two words and you put them together. So for Unit 2, the examples were things like greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, can't remember the other ones, but they were two words which we put together often. Right, so this book uses collocations quite a lot, and you can see on page 69, we have some transport collocations. So let's try to do it, shall we? We're going to match the words. You've got a list of numbers and a list of letters. And then for part 2, you put them in the correct sentences. Okay, so I'm just going to do the answers now. Part 2, number 1. So you can see where it says number 1, rush hour. Rush hour is usually from 8 to 9 in the morning, and then again from 4 in the afternoon to 7 in the evening. Morning rush hour, evening rush hour. Okay, sentence number 2. I use public transport like trains or the underground to get to work. These are the collocations. Public transport, rush hour. Number 3, if people get angry and behave aggressively in traffic, they are expressing road rage. Number 4, because of parking restrictions, with an S, you can't leave your car there. Number 5, traffic congestion is a big problem in this city. The traffic jams are terrible. 6, I am in a car share and drive to work with a colleague. Car share. These days you hear carpool, carpooling. Car share, it's the same. And number 7, you can't drive in the cycle lanes. It's only for bicycles. Cycle lane or cycle lanes, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so those are the transport collocations on page 69. And now let's go to the next page. The next page is page 70 and 71. Okay, so the first part then, synonyms for verbs. Okay, so we're just going to read what it says in the box. What are synonyms? Synonyms are words which have the same or very similar meanings. Use synonyms in your writing to avoid repetition. Okay, so you don't want to repeat the same words. You want to use different words with the same meaning. And here's an example. This is in the book. New roads will stop traffic congestion in the short term. The local government hopes this will prevent delays. Yeah, that's it. So the words stop and prevent are synonyms, and they have similar meanings, but you're not repeating the same word. Okay, so pause the video again, everybody, and have a go at answering the questions in the synonym section. Okay. You just got to find the words in the red box which are similar to the words which are in bold. Okay, and on the next slide, we'll go through the answers. Sorry, not on the next slide, on this page. Okay, so the first one then, need is similar to require. We need more public transport in the city, or we require. You could use both of those words. Number 2, commuters try to arrive on time, but traffic often causes delays. Try or attempt. Masdar City uses solar energy to make its electricity. Make, produce. Number 4, it is important for people in industrial countries to lower their use of energy. Lower, reduce. Traffic congestion causes people to use time and energy in an inefficient way. That is waste. We should think about cycling instead of using our cars to travel short distances. We should consider. And it will be difficult to get drivers to use public transport. It will be difficult to convince. All right, and then just have a look at the part under that, making suggestions. So we talked about this in the concluding paragraph. It's quite common to make a suggestion or to make a recommendation. I think we should, government should, universities should, whatever you're talking about. It's quite common to make a suggestion. Now, the most obvious and easy way to do it is to use the word should. But again, you don't want to repeat the same words too much. So if you want to make several recommendations or suggestions, then you need to use different words, different sentences. So your book here gives you some different ways to do it. Have a look at the blue sentences. So the first one, cities should encourage commuters to use public transport. Okay, now a different way of doing it is to identify the main verb. In this case, the main verb is encourage. And then what you can do is you can use it by saying the words, it is important to. And then you use your verb. It is important to encourage commuters to use public transport. And then another way is you take your main verb, encourage, and you turn it into a noun. And the way you do that is you use ing. And so look at the example. Encouraging commuters to use public transport is a good idea. It was a great idea. It's a useful idea. Okay, so it's all about using your verb. Should encourage, it is important to encourage, or encouraging. Let's have a look at the next page just to quickly see that in action. So part 4, look at the example sentence. We should use bicycles to travel short distances. What is the main verb? Use. So number 1, it is important to use bicycles to travel short distances. Or turn the verb into a noun, use plus ing. Using bicycles to travel short distances is a good idea. Next one, we should build more high-speed railways between cities. So the main verb is build. It is important to build more high-speed railways between cities. Number 4, building more high-speed railways between cities is a good idea. Okay, so you got different ways of making suggestions. Okay, in case you need to make more than one. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so, in the classroom, we have a little bit more time to interact. I ask you guys for your ideas, but in this video, obviously I can't do that. So what I've done here is I've also put the reading 1 article, and we're going to just read that one just for some reading practice. So here we have the vocabulary for reading 1. You can see it's page 63. And we have some more words. We have commuter, someone who travels between home and work or university regularly. Commuter. So the commute is the travel. Commuter is the person. Connect. Verb, to join two things or places together, connect two things. Destination, outskirts, the outer area of a city or town. Public transport, rail, which is obviously train. Traffic congestion, which we already talked about. Okay, so let's put them in some sentences. First one, Vancouver, British Columbia, has an outstanding system of public transport. So it isn't necessary to own a car there. Don't know, I've never been there, but okay. Number two, I like living on the outskirts of the city because there is more open space and the air is cleaner. The outskirts of the city, outside part of the city. Number three, I take the train to work every day because the public transport, the rail network is fast and cheap. I take the train to work every day because the rail network is fast and cheap. Number four, traffic congestion has improved since my city built a metro and improved the bus system. Fewer people drive to work now. Number five, I told the bus driver that my destination was the city centre, so she told me to get off Main Street, get off on Main Street. Number six, in large cities, people usually prefer to live near their workplace so that they don't have to be a commuter, but it's more expensive than the suburbs. Ferries, remember that's the boat. Ferries connect the mainland to the islands. All right, so we've got reading 2. And if you so desire, you can read this article. It is not necessary. It is not part of the syllabus. So optional. All right, now the last thing then. So in the class, we would have done some writing practice. So here's the bad news, everybody. You're going to have to do some writing as an assignment, homework assignment. You're going to have to submit it. So I'm going to explain that now. So the assignment is about thinking of a problem, thinking of a solution. Well, that's one of the questions. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 questions. That is question 1. What is a transport problem that you face in your life? And then how can we solve that problem? What is a solution? All right, so here we go. We've got 2 questions. Question 1, what is a transport problem that you face in your daily life? How do you think we can solve this problem? Use language from page 70-71. What is a transport problem that you face in your daily life? And the second question, write about a memorable trip or travel experience and focus on the transport. For example, an interesting boat journey, a funny taxi driver, a dangerous bus trip, a beautiful train trip, an exciting airplane ride, etc. Now, you don't have to worry about the adjectives. I just put those there to give you some ideas. But essentially, you're thinking of some memory of your experience, but you're focusing on the transport. So boat journey, taxi driver, bus trip, train trip, airplane, anything like that. It's a memory, so most of it is going to be past tense. Okay. And here is an example to help you. Do not copy the words, okay? These are examples. They're only to help you. So the first one, what is a transport problem that you face in your daily life? Here's the answer. When I commute to Tsinghua University every morning, I almost always take a public bus. However, the buses are often too crowded in the mornings. This causes me stress and my day begins in a negative way. There are too many people trying to ride the same buses, so I think it's easy for people to lose their social manners. Okay, so that is the problem. And now what about the solution? And you can see in bold, I've used the word should. And then in the second sentence, I've used the main verb provide as a noun, ing. The city should provide more buses during rush hour, especially for the routes which are busy. Alternatively, providing private shuttle buses, which students and professors could ride for free, might be a good idea. Okay, and in the second question, I've written about the memory, and my one is about a time when I was traveling in India, and there was a unusual experience involving the police and riding a public bus. You can read that one by yourself. All right, everybody. So I'm going to make an assignment folder in the weekly learning of the LMS Smart Campus on the university website. And you can find the assignment questions there, and you can submit your file there. I really, really prefer it if you use Microsoft Word files, not Hansoft Hangul program. I would rather you used Microsoft Word if you can. Okay. And you can basically, you can write your answer and then submit that file into the LMS weekly learning folder. Or you can take a photo of your work and you can submit the photo. Both of those are fine. And the deadline for the assignment is going to be October 9th, because that is the week 6 class, and that is the time that I will check your work. Okay, so it's 1 week. Sorry, not October 6th, not October 6th. The deadline is going to be whatever the date is for your week 6 class. It's going to depend on the date of your week 6 class. Anyway, you can see the deadline information on the folder where you find the assignment information. Okay, everybody, I'm going to finish the video. So see you in the class next time. Enjoy your break. Goodbye.